What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to this Anfield Agenda transfer special podcast on the day that Liverpool Football Club announced the signing of ALISSON BECKER from Roma for what is a world record fee of in and around £67 million. Dave, this is an absolute statement of intent from Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah, another one. After 7 months, we broke the transfer record for a defender. We've just after breaking it for a goalkeeper. It's absolutely brilliant because for too many years we haven't put our hands in our pockets and we've missed out on some really, really good players. But now we just seem to get them over the line. Michael Edwards has done an amazing job, and him and Klopp to back him up they've been sensational in bringing players in. Who's to say in another 5 months' time are we going to be breaking the record for a striker or a midfielder? It's certainly possible.
Chris, Dave's obviously happy about this. I'm obviously happy about this. How are you feeling about the fact, and I'm going to say it again, that Liverpool have gone out and smashed the world record transfer fee for a goalkeeper?
It's quite surreal to me. I've never envisaged us dining at the top table the way that we are. I know we spent a record fee on Van Dijk, didn't we? So I guess everybody could say, yeah, you should have seen it coming. But I think largely that was down to paying a massive premium for a major fuck-up to a club who were quite frankly also sick and tired of selling the best players to us. So I think it is quite surprising. We spent what was perhaps a fee that you would expect on Fabinho and kind of a fee that you would kind of expect on Naby Keita. So to just go early doors, and it is early doors when you consider how long he's been back from the World Cup, and just blow everybody out of the water who was interested in him, and most notably Chelsea, who for years and years and years have always sort of overshadows us in the transfer market. It is quite amazing. It is surreal as well for me. I just don't, it's a strange experience seeing Liverpool do this. We're definitely amongst the elite in the transfer market and amongst the elite on the pitch now. So regardless of my previous sort of misgivings with regards to the amount of money Alisson was going to cost us, and turned out he did cost us that much. I'm just quite happy we've got the player in. We've got what appears to be a top player for top money, and that's about right if we want to be a top team.
Dave, we've seen Michael Edwards and Liverpool do tremendous business over the past couple of windows. The way they went about signing Naby Keita and taking him from under other clubs' noses. They went in, as Chris said, and they got ALISSON BECKER nice and early. And it's another tremendous piece of business by the club, especially when you think about Roma. Having to deal with Roma here again, you can imagine what that phone call was like.
Yeah, certainly. You got to think about it as well with his age. What is he, 25? I wouldn't even say if we're lucky, but if the lad looks after himself and keeps himself well, we could have him for 13 years maybe. And how good would that be to have a keeper with that stability for that length of time? Consistency is so important in football, and cohesion, and just hopefully we'll have him in between the sticks and for a long time. Just want to touch on as well that for his age, he's played a good few games. I know he's kind of Copa Libertadores in South America, but he has a pretty good record wherever he's gone. Italian media, if you're reading their reports, the guys in there, I suppose the experts in Italy are saying he's the best goalkeeper that Roma have had in maybe 15 to 20 years. He's going to be one of the world's best goalkeepers, and that's what you want to hear. Chris is bang on. We are dining at the top table now. Players are noticing it, and we're building an absolutely formidable squad that is well up there with the best in Europe, no doubt about it.
As Dave said, guys, ALISSON BECKER, 25 years of age, started his career international in Brazil. He made 44 appearances there before moving to Roma for a fee of €7.5 million, which when you think about that now, Chris, that seems absolutely scandalous.
It does. It's all unforeseen stuff, though, isn't it? You know, going back to the point about having to go back and deal with Roma because of what happened with Salah. You can't be sore about a player achieving excellence at another club. We didn't sign a 40-goal a season player, and we signed a 15 to 20 goal a season player. So it's fair as fair. You can't really punish that. I don't think we've paid this amount for ALISSON simply because of that. I don't think anybody at Roma is that stupid. I think that was more of an opinion based purely on how well he's done from people outside of Roma, thinking that they'd be sore about it. And I don't. We're going to constantly see big transfer fees now going forward, because not only is it a case of an inflated market, it's also a case of now, well, look what you've done with this player, look what you've done with this player, and look what you've done with this player. I'm going to name, well, just the front three there, Salah, Firmino and Mane. You've bought them for this and now they're worth this. Well, you're going to do the same with him now. So clubs are going to be hitting us with either large transfer fees or huge sell-on clauses and so on and so forth. And we're in the position for it now, aren't we? I think that's the main thing. And I know this is perhaps not something that's completely ALISSON related, but signing ALISSON has brought this up, as we're now getting accused of buying the league. Well, obviously we've got to go and win it first to be able to have bought it, but this is money we've earned. So just wanted to say that this is no sheik has come in, no oligarch has come in, a sensible businessman has come in, shaped the fortunes of the club. We've been performing really well commercially. We're part of the Premier League that's been performing really well commercially, and we've benefited from that. So anything we're spending, we're earning, and obviously selling players who we bought for 8 million, we've sold them for 140. So this is our money. It's not been gifted to us. And I think that's one of the reasons why I perhaps thought we wouldn't have spent that kind of money again, going back to it on ALISSON, because we have acted frugally more often than not in the market. But again, it doesn't really matter, does it? What money's been spent on players in the past, what's spent in the future, what's currently being spent, none of that matters. It's about, does that player improve your team when all said and done?
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree 100%. Dave, people are worried that ALISSON has only played 64 games for Roma. So 64 games, what you could call top level football. But I've watched them a lot. And look, I know people come on and say this about players. But look, go back to the pods. I don't say this, but I've genuinely watched this guy a lot over the past season. And what he's going to bring to this Liverpool team is, first and foremost, a presence. A massive presence behind the defence. Somebody who isn't afraid to come out and take the ball. Somebody who has amazing distribution, somebody that makes the saves he's expected to save, but above that, he makes the saves that he isn't expected to make as well. This guy is absolute quality, and I have no doubts whatsoever, Dave, that he is going to be the solution to our goalkeeping problem that's been plaguing us for the past 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. We haven't had a keeper of this kind of... I know Pepe Reina, when we signed him from, Villarreal, we didn't know too much about him. We obviously know a lot about this guy. His, as you said, his distribution is absolutely phenomenal. He's going to turn, defense into attack as quick as light. His command is very good at the area. Not only that, he's very, very, very athletic. He's not the biggest keeper in the world. I think he's like 191, 1 meter 91.
That's 6'4" in old money.
6'4". He's a big lad then. Sorry. I'm just, again, look, I'm just delighted, because I think having such a good goalkeeper just installs so much confidence into the back line, and then it just transcends through the pitch. If you have a good world-class goalkeeper who can, as I said, install that confidence into your back line, then your midfield, I suppose, can do their job more effectively. And of course, your front three or front two or front one, whatever it might be, can do their job more effectively. So it's not just a goalkeeper we're signing. It's a real catalyst within the team to push forward as well. I think he's 30 odd caps for Brazil as well. So he's an experienced international. He's also the number one keeper for Brazil.
Who's the number two, Dave? Who's the number two keeper for Brazil? My mind has failed me here.
Jaws from James Bond, is it? That's what he looks like anyway. Emerson, yeah.
Oh, Ederson. So what you're saying to me here, if I want to just get this correct, is that Manchester City are going to have Brazil's number two goalkeeper, but little old Liverpool, we're going to have Brazil's number one. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I don't think Emerson even got a sniff or came on at the World Cup, did he, for a second? Bit of a wasted journey, if you ask me, but there you go. But no, going back, and again, going back to spending the money. I've just been a big believer in so often, because I can remember when we were meant to be signing players, and I'm going back to the early 90s here, and they haven't worked out. And you're scratching your head going, why haven't we just coughed up that extra bit of money to sign this player and get him over the line? Because by not signing them players in the past where we haven't coughed up, it's cost the club a fortune going forward in the future. An absolute fortune. The one that springs to mind that was recently was Ronaldo. Can you imagine Cristiano Ronaldo if he was playing for Liverpool?
Yeah, especially when you think about the 10 million that it was at the time. 10 million.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no qualms with spending money. Some people are saying we're overspending, but it's about time we started overspending, because United have been doing it for years, City have been doing it for a while, Chelsea have been doing it for years. So, let's add a fourth one in there now, which is us, and let's see how we get on now. Pressure's on, but it's good pressure. It's good pressure that we're under now, because we are expecting to go far and push in the league, and which is exactly what we want.
We've spent big money in the past, haven't we, on the odd player? So in relative terms, the money at the time, Stan Collymore was quite a lot of money. I suppose even if you look at Torres at the time, anything over 20 million was considered big money at the time. But it's only ever been that one player or maybe two players. Plus, we've also been lucky enough to have high value players come through the ranks. So obviously, Torres was joining a side that had Steven Gerrard, who cost us nothing in it, and also Jamie Carragher, and then a few players that we were lucky enough to buy for relatively low money. But we're all, just happened to go on to be great players. So we've only ever had that small handful of high value players in the side. I think at the moment, what we're doing is we're spending big or relatively big in lots of areas of the pitch, and it seems to be every single signing. And okay, you can drop in Robbo in there as a kind of like a free shot, really. We spent £8 million on a fullback who just happens to look like
as well, to be fair, Chris.
£80 million fullback. Yeah. I mean, those are circumstantial. If you were to buy Shaqiri normally, had Stoke not gone down, there'd have been no release clause. He's a £30+ million footballer. End of. That's what he is. So, we've got £30 million substitutes. For God's sake. I mean, I know Oxlade-Chamberlain's injured for the rest of next season, which is a massive shame. I've got to say that, absolutely gutted for the lad. But, would he be starting? Let's say we bring in Fekir next as well. Would Oxlade-Chamberlain guarantee a start? Of course, I keep saying players got to back themselves. But Lallana, 20+ million, they're not all guaranteed games. What was Gini? Was he 20 odd million? He was, what? Exactly, yeah. And these are players who are not guaranteed games. Before now, we haven't even had a midfield to pick from, other than maybe Steven Gerrard, where any of them have been anywhere near, high value players. And then those who are waiting in the wings to come in have either been youngsters or, real bargain basement players. That's different now. And I think what that's going to do, when ALISSON sort of ring fences this at the moment, because this is the moment you can clearly see on social media where everybody sat up and thought, hold on, those last few signings weren't flukes. Liverpool really mean business here. They've just gone and signed Brazil's #1 for a world record fee. For God's sake, you know, what's going on here? Why isn't our club doing this? You know, it's really ring-fenced this idea that we are now operating at that elite level. I will say it again. And that not only affects us, the way we're going to play, because we've got better players, and I think I've said it previously in a pod before, it also affects our opposition because they are literally going to be shitting themselves. We have not had that fear factor for a long time. It's the same fear factor that kick-started United season last season. They were stormed to the top of the table. And then Man City stormed further forward then, and it was all on the fear factor. It's the manager, the amount of money they spent, the names that have come in. You know, they're just names on paper. They're just 11 football players on a pitch. Every team's beatable. But the 1-0 up before they walk on the pitch because of fear factor. And I think that now is where we're operating. You're already... So I'm all over the country with work all the time. I speak to football fans from everywhere. And most, when they're not on Twitter and they're just be normal people talking to you like normal people, you know, they're really honest, really open. And I can see you guys like either winning the league or challenging Man City. I haven't heard one person, honestly, face to face, whilst looking me square in the eyes, say that we're going to do anything other than challenge Man City. Teams are fearing us now, and that I think this signing, ALISSON, seems to have ring-fenced that massively.
Dave, I want to touch on the money situation because Chris touched on it earlier on, and people are starting to say Liverpool are trying to buy the league, this, that, and the other. But are people forgetting that we sold probably one of our best players at the time for £146 million or euro? I can't remember which one it was. We then went and reached the Champions League final. We're then in an era of record television money as well. I mean, gate receipts are up, merchandise is up, commercial sponsorship is up. Everything has been raised by FSG and the management group of this football club. So it's no surprise to us that there is money there to spend. And as Chris rightly said, we're spending our own money here. We're not taking a loan of money from a sheikh. We're not going in debt to the bank like we did on the Hicks and Gillette. This is football club money. This is money that has been earned by Liverpool Football Club, and it's just been very wisely invested.
Yeah, 100%. And to give a shout out again to, I suppose, a man who'd done a lot of work with the commercial development of Liverpool Football Club, and that was Ian Eyre. You look at the sponsorship deals that man has brought on, and that really kick-started it for the club. Not only that, we were the highest earners from Premier League television money last season, ahead of the champions. That says everything as well, because Liverpool is such an attractive team to watch. Champions League netted us an absolute fortune as well, not only in UEFA money, but it also allowed us to be a lot more aggressive when we were negotiating our new sponsorship deal with Standard Chartered, which was it's now doubled to what it was when they first signed. So all these things, have to be taken into consideration. I haven't even mentioned about selling a player yet. We still are probably using our own money just from that. Also, as well, just to go back on the transfer and what I think as well regarding the club is how much has Liverpool's focus and I suppose strategic focus changed on transfers as well. What I mean is Liverpool used to be a very reactive club. And if someone went, we had to sign. So, for example, Torres. When Torres was sold, okay, we have to get someone in, and it was Suarez and Carroll. Now, for example, it's no, we're going to be proactive. We're going to sign really world-class players in the positions that we need and push on. And we've done that. And as I said, I keep on repeating, no player of significance is leaving Liverpool Football Club this season, and that is such a good feeling as well. Firmino's penned a deal, a new long-term deal. Mo Salah has. Mane, all going well, and I do think it will happen before the new season kicks off. He will. Trent is going to sign a new deal from the sound of things as well. It's just so good to hear. Well, we're not under pressure to sell players. There's no players leaving, and we don't have to fill these gaps with quick stop players. Now we can be really concentrated. And as I said, I mentioned this a few weeks ago as well. What's the bet that Liverpool aren't already looking at the 19-20 season to see who we can bring in?
I've no doubt about it. I've no doubt that they'll keep an eye on Christian Pulisic as well to see how that situation develops.
We're definitely breathing like new air, aren't we, here? And I think the change in approach to the transfer market is it's circumstantial. You know, if you look at the past, like Dave just said there, you know, we had to react to selling somebody like Torres, for example. We were skinned. We had no money. We were a poor club. We weren't operating to our full capabilities, you know, using the brand that we are to its full capabilities commercially. So we weren't making enough money. We still had a relatively small stadium in terms, you know, when you look at the big clubs around Europe, you know, we never really pushed on out of the 90s. So we had to be reactive. And people will look at the way things have changed right now and look at it now, you know, what, as Klopp put a poker up FSG's arse or whatever way you look at it. I don't believe that's the case. I think FSG have perhaps planned this more or less to a T. They've attacked the commercial markets with gusto, haven't they, to make all of the money that they can possibly make using Liverpool's brand, to then do exactly what they promised, to make Liverpool self-sufficient, so that they can compete, you know, on the field as well, using, you know, reaping the rewards of what they've done off the field. So, you know, it was a plan that they set out to achieve, and through a lack of patience, we've seen a lot of people call FSG out, but they've done exactly what they said they were going to do. And look at this, you know, everybody to a man has been happy with Van Dijk, has been happy with Mane, has been happy with Salah, has been happy with you know, the signings of Fabinho, Keita, and now ALISSON. And, you know, I don't want this just turn into you know, sort of an off the field pod where we're on here to get all excited about ALISSON, aren't we? But you have got to sort of tip your hat to them all, and the way that they've really built us off the field, so that we can start looking at building aggressively on it, and it is working. We're seeing the fruits of that now.
Chris, I have a question for you. How much of this new, I won't say found spending spree, but how much of this new attitude that FSG are taking towards player recruitment and stuff, do you think is down to the fact that they finally got the manager that they wanted, the manager that they probably hoped they'd get from the second they got into Liverpool Football Club, and the trust that they must place in Jurgen Klopp?
There's got to be a lot of trust there, hasn't there? If you're going to write big checks for a manager, you've got to trust that you know, that they are, let's say, wanting the right players and the best players. If Brendan Rodgers comes to you and tells you that Joe Allen's worth 60 million, you know, you're not going to trust him. I don't think, for example, I know he probably thought that that's what he was worth at the time, if you know what I mean. I think they've had a baptism of fire, haven't they, with the first couple of managers well, not the first couple of managers. I'm not going to be too unfair on Kenny, because I think a lot of the business that was done was down to Kamali at the time. But they've had a baptism of fire, and they've had to learn quickly. But somewhere down the line, I don't know who it was, somebody has pushed them towards Klopp. You know, they don't really know football that well, do they? They're not generally football people. I'm sure they are now. I'm sure they fell in love with the game and they know a lot more about it. But, you know, it's been a learning process for them. But at some point, somebody's pushed them towards Klopp. They've brought Klopp in, or done everything they can to bring him in. He's come in, and they've learned as it's gone along. They've learned to trust him, and that's brilliant. You know, there's clearly a good relationship there from both sides, because they don't seem to refuse him anything, do they? That's only good for the club as a whole. Everybody's singing off the same hymn sheet.
It's absolutely brilliant that we're on here talking about ALISSON and a goalkeeper for the future. But I feel before we finish up this pod, it's only right that we touch on the fact that Leicester City, Dave, have come in and bid £10 million for Danny Ward, and it looks like he may well be on the move. So I just want to touch on that for a second, and what you think about the possibility of Danny Ward going to Leicester City.
And by the sound of things, he's going in as number one, because Schmeichel is apparently going to Roma, if what we're led to believe. I don't blame Danny Ward for wanting to leave Liverpool Football Club. He must be very frustrated at his lack of playing time. I don't think he's obviously Liverpool standard. To be brutally honest, and that's not putting Danny Ward down, but I've said this before, for Liverpool to push on, we need world-class players in every single position, bar none. We can't have any passengers. We signed the lad from Wrexham, I think, maybe quote me if I'm wrong, for peanuts. And now it looks like we're getting between 10 and 12 million for him. Good luck to the lad. I hope he has a really good career. Wish him all the best, but not against Liverpool.
Do you know what, Chris? I have to say I'm absolutely delighted for Danny Ward, because I've said time and time again, whatever happens with Danny Ward, I don't want to see his career just, shrivel away and him being just stuck on the sidelines, because he is good enough to have a good level career, and to get to go to a club like Leicester City, I mean, that's nothing but a really, really good move for the young man.
Well, yeah, he's got international caps, hasn't he, already? So some, the people involved with the Welsh FA clearly see him as a future number one for Wales, and he's only going to achieve that if he's playing week in, week out. It's not going to happen at Liverpool. So fair play to him if he wants to go. If it is going to be Leicester, they're a good club, aren't they? They're not going to be title challengers again, and that was a one-off, but I do think they're a solid Premiership team now, so he's going to be playing in a good standard of football every single week for a good side. Fair play to him, and we're going to receive a decent fee for a player who's never really played for us, so yeah, everybody's happy there. Looking at any goalkeeper wanting to come through now, I mean, even going as far back as Grabar, and if a club's just spent a world record fee on a goalkeeper, whether you believe that he's worth that amount of money or not, doesn't matter. If a club's spent that amount of money on a goalkeeper, he's going to be the number one. Your chances of taking the number one shirt are out of the window. That goes for Karius as well. I'm sure Mignolet's off, but even if he stayed, there's no chance he's getting in the side. And quite frankly, we've signed a goalkeeper not just for a world record fee, but if you remove the fee and just look at the goalkeeper, he's Brazil's number one goalkeeper. Everything I've heard about him is. Let me just say firstly, I've not seen anything from him that got me really excited, but everything I've heard about him does. And from what I can gather, he's absolutely perfect for us. He apparently the defensive third of the field is kind of like his area. He just strolls it and patrols it, and he's a defender's dream apparently. But I can't see any of the youngsters sort of looking at their future at Liverpool, certainly in the next 10 years, and thinking they're going to have a chance. So it makes you wonder what's going through the minds of all of them.
Chris, it's important when we're talking about Alisson here that we say how quite magnificent his beard is as well. I mean, we can't understate the importance of having that beard behind that back four. It's really, really, it's a beautiful thing. I love the idea of having a goalkeeper with a beard.
I wonder if that'll catch on, because trends do seem to kick off at Liverpool. I have noticed that Lallana's kind of got a bit of a Monet do, hasn't he, at the moment? And so I'm wondering if I can't think of another player with a beard at the club. No one's grim one, has it? Well, Mo, yeah, Mo's got a beard. Kind of, he's just fuzzball, isn't he? Though it's just hair.
Beautiful fuzzball.
Yeah, he's like Captain Caveman, isn't he, in a Liverpool strip?
If I could just convince Alisson now to shave his head and go with a beard, I mean, I'd be so happy.
What? Why shave his head?
Just so he looks like a mad cunt.
No, his head of hair. We've lost Emre Can, and he is gone now. So and Karius isn't going to be playing any first team games. So we needed a new haircut, didn't we? I think he's got it, hasn't he? He's like very, very. He's like James Bond with a beard, isn't he?
I suppose I can always make do with the fact, Chris, that we've signed a bald central defensive midfielder. So I always have Fabinho there to keep me happy.
Yeah. Are you saying you need a bald mad bastard in every side?
Absolutely. Like nothing made me happier than when Javier Mascherano shaved his head.
Yeah. Yeah, Skirtle seemed to play better when he shaved his head as well, didn't he?
See,
Yeah.
there you go. There's
There might
something
be
on
something in
this.
that.
Yeah.
Gerrard did it once, didn't he?
There you go.
Yeah.
Virgil van Dijk, you're next. I think we even seen Glenn Johnson got a little bit better when he shaved his head.
I don't think we've had a goalkeeper with any facial hair since Brucey, have we?
Well, there's no way Mignolet can grow a beard. I'm saying that for a fact. There's no way.
No. David James had a
That's true.
He had a designer goatee, didn't he?
Oh no, Chris, we said goalkeepers.
Yeti do that, then you can't be Champions League winner. Go on. David James wasn't that bad.
Yeah, like you don't get the name Calamity James from being a good goalkeeper.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't calamitous. He was a good goalkeeper. Not the best. I'm not saying he was like a legend or anything, but he was a good goalkeeper. But yeah, Yurtsy do that though. He had a go-to.
I do like Yurtsy. Guys, look, to finish up, Dave, this leaves us with 3 first-team goalkeepers at the club as things stand: ALISSON, Karius, and Mignolet. And look, my thoughts are that Mignolet will most probably move on, and then we'll see Karius and ALISSON at the club as the number 1 and 2. Obviously, it'll probably be ALISSON is number 1, seeing as how we have just broken the world record for him. But for Simon Mignolet, we've seen Danny Ward go for 10 million quid or have a bid put in for 10 million quid. What type of figure do you think the club would look for Simon Mignolet?
Yeah, we mentioned this today in the WhatsApp group, and I put down, I'd say, look, we'd probably get 15 for him because, look, he is Belgium's second keeper. They've just come third in the World Cup. He does have a lot of experience. I don't rate him at all. But yeah, I'd say you'd be looking around the 15 million mark.
Dave, we're trying to sell him here, for fuck's sake. Talk him up, will you? He's brilliant.
The thing is with him is he's not a bad goalkeeper. He's just what you say, sort of. He's a goalkeeper's goalkeeper, isn't he? He saves some shots. He'll catch some crosses. He doesn't command his area. He hasn't got great sort of ability on the ball in terms of his distribution or whatever. I think his problem is he just doesn't suit us and the way we play.
Do you know
if
what,
you know what
Chris,
I mean, rather than him being a bad goalkeeper.
I can give you a really good example here, Chris. So, Mundo Sporto put out a nonsense transfer rumour that Simon Mignolet was on his way to Inter Milan for a fee of 15 to 18 million euro. Okay? Yeah. Now, we went and then followed that rumour into an Inter Milan chat room. And you know what? They were very happy. They were really happy with the idea of Simon Mignolet coming, and they thought he was a good, solid keeper.
Yeah, I think that's what he is. He's not the world's best keeper, clearly, because he's not even Belgium's best keeper, but he is just a good, solid keeper. No frills goalkeeper, but that just doesn't suit us. I think that was his problem, is he just never really suited us. Certainly the Klopp side. So no, I think some club somewhere, whether that is Inter Milan, will see some value in him. So I think we perhaps could see upwards. How old is he now?
I think he's 28. I think 29,
28. Yeah, so he's got another good 6, 7, maybe 8 years left in him. I think we could see if he signs a long-term contract somewhere. I can see us getting upwards of 15, maybe closer to 20 for him.
Dave, Chris touched on a really good point there. We say sometimes in boxing that styles make fights. And for Simon Mignolet, his style of goalkeeping didn't really suit the style of football that Jurgen Klopp wanted to play. And that's not his fault. He wasn't brought in under Jurgen Klopp. So, to be fair to him, it might have just been wrong time for him.
I'm not sure. He's very much prone to mistakes. And I think the thing with a world-class goalkeeper as well is if they make a mistake, they dust themselves down and they get on with it. Mignolet, I feel he's the type of fella who would just overthink things all the time, and that is always in his head. And I think that's ultimately has been the downfall in his career. Because look, let's be honest, while he's played for Liverpool Football Club, one of the biggest football clubs in the world, he hasn't really shone. He hasn't really done anything spectacular. And we need more than that. We need more than that from our goalkeepers. We need a goalkeeper who can just, as I said, you know, mistakes will happen. Inevitably, mistakes will happen in any walk of life. It's how you kind of get over them and deal with them. And that kind of leads me to the other side with Alisson Becker. His errors or forced errors for Roma last season were the total amount of 0. And that's what we want. That's what we've needed. That's what we've created for a long time. A keeper who just
is that errors resulting in goals or errors full stop?
I think it was errors resulting in goals, mate.
Because he made about, I was going to say, because he made about 7 against us. I don't mean for the goals. I mean, he got away with 3 or 4 very easily.
He beat his expected goals ratio. He beat the expected goals ratio. I think he was one of the leading keepers in Europe. So say, for instance, everybody starts at 0. He ended at minus 2.4 saves or something. So he was making more than 2.4 saves a game, more than he was supposed to.
I'm fully expecting him to make mistakes like I would any player, but I've also fully expected him to think, I'm Alisson Becker, I've just made a mistake, so what? I won't make that again. You know what I mean? And it's the personality, isn't it? That's the difference. You know, when you look at Mignolet, he's not got that personality, has he? You know, and like a lot of players who we've seen leave the club or who are at the club who are seemingly going to be on the way, whether it be this summer or the following summer. Klopp's filling this team with personalities, and that's one of the things that I get from Alisson. Not from what I know of him, but what I'm hearing of him is that he really does rate himself. He likes to be in the spotlight, and I think any player who likes to be in the spotlight won't worry about anything negative that happens to them in the spotlight, if you know what I mean. So if I would imagine that had he made the same first mistake in Kiev that Karius did, the following mistake wouldn't have come along, for example. You know, he'd have perhaps got angry at himself or whatever, rather than be embarrassed. You know what I mean? He wouldn't have set in his nerves. He'd have just gone and turned into a better goalkeeper thereafter. And I think that's perhaps one of the reasons Klopp's quite willing to ask FSG to sign that great big check. So you get what you pay for, and you don't just get a good player. You get a good personality as well with it, don't you? I think that's a major thing, because if you think the last goalkeeper we had with a major personality, and he did make mistakes, and if he made a mistake, he bollocked somebody else in the team because it was their fault. You know, it was Reina. You know, and then you go back even further. I think we've perhaps got to go back as far as maybe Grobbelaar, who made tons of mistakes. You know, nearly every other week. But it was always somebody else's fault, or it was the grass's fault, or, you know, he didn't have his baseball cap, so he'd ask for one off somebody in the stands or something. You know, it was.
To be fair to Reina, though, he did have a fucking beach ball to contend with at one point.
Well, yeah, I mean that certainly wasn't his mistake, was it? But what you get there is players who, you know, they make a mistake, it's not their mistake. You know, or they will blame something else. They're infallible in their own mind. You know what I mean? And that's all part and parcel of being a top player.
You need that arrogance, don't you?
You do, yeah. And he's clearly got a lot of arrogance. No goalkeeper comes out and Cruyff turns a defender for absolutely no reason. You know, most goalkeepers at that point are just rose-heading the ball, aren't they? You know, no goalkeeper does that unless they've got an amount of arrogance. Well, that's fine by me. I want some arrogant bastards in this side. You know, Shaqiri's an arrogant bastard. And I actually think that for how humble Mo Salah comes across, look at him when he celebrates his goals. That's arrogance. Bobby Firmino, he's arrogant. You know, I'm not saying like the gobshites or nothing. They know how good they are.
We can't, by the way, we can't go past Bobby Firmino without mentioning that he most certainly had something to play with this deal happening. I've no doubt in my mind that Bobby Firmino helped this deal along somehow.
This is for me.
I heard somewhere that Fabinho's missus, what's her name again?
Rebecca Tavares.
Yeah. That was it. Told Alisson's missus that Liverpool's a beautiful place to be, or something like that. You know. So yeah, if that's true, fair play to it.
Where did they go to the Grafton on a Friday night?
Nothing like it.
Oh, it's all beautiful with the sun splitting the trees and the parks are there. You can bring the kids out now. Wait till it's fucking February. Then thank God these signings get done in the summer.
What did you say now? Rebecca Tavares, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was that right? Yeah.
She's
been
brilliant.
The best signing Klopp's made.
Yeah, she's been definitely. Absolutely top quality. She really has. She's won over the fan base straight away.
Definitely. But yeah, go on.
No, I was just saying, mate, she just seems very down to earth. But I was just going to say as well, while you were talking with Alisson in the comparison with Mignolet, the thing that disappoints me with Alisson is he hasn't scored a goal yet, whereas Simon Mignolet has. So, you know, if there was one downside to this transfer, probably Alisson needs to work in his shooting and his goal scoring, because Miggs has that.
Or we can ask for 68 million from Mignolet, maybe.
There you go.
On that basis. There you go.
There you go. Do you know what, gents? I think that's a good place to leave this one on the day that Liverpool Football Club have broken the world record fee for a goalkeeper and hopefully solve their goalkeeping issue for the next 5 to 7 years. ALISSON Becker has joined from Roma for a fee of £67 million. What a day to be a Red. I'm glad I was able to celebrate it with Dave and Chris. Thank you guys for listening, and up the Reds.